must be a good reason that you're gone. Every now and then I think you might want me to come show up at your door, but I'm just too afraid that I'll be wrong. Don't wanna know if you're looking into her eyes, she's holding on to you so tight, the way I did before. I overflowed, should've known your love was a game. Now I can't get you out of my brain. Oh, it's such a shame that we don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore like we used to do. We don't laugh anymore. What was all of it for? Oh, we don't talk anymore like we used to do. Dress you're wearing tonight, if he's giving it to you just right, the way I did before. I overflowed, should've known your love was a game. Now I can't get you.
Hello, good evening. It's 5 o'clock. However, I've sought permission from the dean that we wait some 5-10 minutes. There are 22 students online now. We want to wait a little bit to see if we can get some more students online. Those outside the auditorium may come in, please. Okay, our list of time effluxed. So can somebody please offer to give us the opening prayer?
Please let's bow our heads for a word of prayer. Our dear Lord and Heavenly Father, we give you thanks and praise for your guidance and protection upon our lives. You've kept watch over us from the beginning of the year, and indeed from the day we were born up until now. And Father, you've granted us an opportunity to be part of a family which will enhance our prospects and potentials. We give you thanks that you've brought us this far. We commit the entire program, the orientation, into your hands, the facilitators, and all those who will be involved, all those who will be joining us virtually. Father, grant us the understanding and commitment and will with which to follow through, that at the end this program will bring success to us all. May your peace continue to abide with us this day and always. In the name of Christ, as our Lord, we pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
Thank you. So we will humbly invite our dean to give us the welcome address.
Good evening, everyone. Those physically here and those who are joining us online, and those who are yet to come in. So, but how many people are online? About how many? About 50, okay. So we have another maybe 70 here. So that's about 120? Okay. So we're missing about 30 or so, or 40 people. So welcome. I want to do a short presentation to you on the raison d'etre of the University of Ghana School of Law, what our mission, vision, and strategic objectives are, say something about the special calendar that we run, and end with the two streams of LLB of the LLB program that we run here. At the end of my presentation, I would show you some contacts that you may reach out to if you have further questions in the course of the program here. So let's start with our vision. What does the University of Ghana School of Law hope to be? So we intend to be internationally recognized as the leaders in African legal education. In other words, wherever in the world legal education in Africa is talked about, we should stand out as number one. So that's our dream. And to achieve this dream, we have a mission statement. And that mission statement, although long, focuses on three elements: education and training, leadership, and research and outreach. So education and training is mainly the teaching and learning component. But aside training you in law, we also train you as leaders, because lawyers everywhere they are in the world for good or for bad, are what? In leadership positions. So we train you in the law, but we also train you as leaders. And finally, we incubate research here and try to assist the broader community beyond the law school with outreach activities. So sometimes, for example, the LSU would go to Medina Market and do programs on public legal education. Is that what you call it? Yeah. Sometimes lecturers here would do consulting on policy and law for agencies outside of the university. So that's the third leg of our mission. In concrete terms, we focus on 5 strategic objectives. In other words, these are the main things that we do to achieve our mission and our vision. Our very first strategic objective is on the student experience. we want to make sure that you have a very good, tremendously good experience whilst you are here with us as our students, so that when you leave and we ask you to contribute to our endowment fund, you bring your check out and write out dollarized 5-6 figure financial commitments for us. As you know, you are here because for most of you, you want to become lawyers. So aside giving you a good experience here, we want to make sure that you enter the law school and become lawyers. So when you are done with your studies here, we still hold classes for you to prepare you to take the law school entrance exam. And even when you are in the law school, we still monitor your progress into the bar, because every year we started checking how many of our students are called to the bar in each set that the General Legal Counsel calls to the bar. Our second strategic objective is to create a research, conferencing, publications hub here, so that we are known not just for teaching good law, but also for research, conferencing, mentorship, outreach. The International Conference on the Future of Legal Education was held here at the end of last month and at the beginning of this month. And every year we would have one major international conference. In September, we're going to have an international conference on data protection in Africa. And in 2023, we would have an international conference on ocean governance, focusing on the Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire maritime dispute. And other conferences are being planned for the future. Our third strategic objective is my favorite: fundraising to implement everything that we are talking about and to improve our infrastructure so that you can be comfortable while studying here. Exactly a month ago today, right where this speaker is, the President of the Republic cut the sword to inaugurate our endowment fund. We're seeking to raise $150 million, not cedis, over 10 years. And as PFD students, you'd all be part of the fundraising drive. We're targeting six communities to get monies from. And you'll be part of the army, the foot soldiers, who would target and, excuse my wording, but extract the monies for the benefit of the endowment fund. So we're targeting lawyers, of course, law firms, judges. I think, Ken, aside the president's personal donation, the president donated 100,000 Ghana cedis personally. Apart from that, the highest individual donors we've had so far are judges. And I don't know why judges are making less than lawyers and are contributing more. So we really have to target the lawyers this time round. And of course, there are private companies, public companies that have to be targeted. We can't make University of Ghana School of Law #1 in Africa unless we raise that money. It's not possible. Because the things that will make us #1 require money to do. Aside the fundraising, there are 2 subsidiary strategic objectives related to administration and governance. We want to improve our administration. We want the administration to be more responsive to student needs, to staff needs, and so forth. We want to reduce processing time. We don't want you to wait for 2 weeks, 1 week, 3 days to get something that can be done in 10 seconds or 1 minute. You can see that we've circulated email addresses. We want to make sure that when you have a concern and send it by email, it's addressed quickly. Send it by WhatsApp, it's addressed quickly. So that's our 4th strategic objective: administration and governance. Our last strategic objective is on well-being. The response time of the slide is a bit slow, so sometimes I would have to pause for the sake of those online. Is it working at all? It's been on this last slide forever. But I can continue without the slide. Okay, so I was talking about infrastructure. So your classrooms are not yet even looking like what is on top. We just ordered the chairs, and the chairs are coming in 2 weeks' time. And when they come, your classroom will look like this. It means that right now they are worse than that. But we want it to look like what is below. You see? And this costs money. I've spoken about administration and governance already, right? Our 5th strategic objective is on welfare. Staff welfare, faculty welfare, student welfare. So there are things we do in the welfare front. We don't want to advertise it because then demand gets too high to meet. There are some people with peculiar financial needs, and we try to support them. The rich ones don't come into that category because we might actually extract money from you to help others. But the 5th one is on staff, student, and faculty welfare. So that is the vision, that is the mission, those are the strategic objectives of the University of Ghana School of Law. The next thing I want to talk about is our special calendar. You realize that the rest of the university is still on break. You know that. But we are starting classes. We're starting classes not because we don't know how to enjoy the Brunya. It's because we are required to abide by the calendar of the university, but we are also required to abide by the calendar of the General Legal Council, the Ghana School of Law, and the Independent Examinations Committee over in town. And their calendar requires that we have everything done at the end of an academic year by 31st July. By 31st July, we should have graduated our students. They should have gotten their certificates so that those who qualify can use their certificates to apply to write the law school entrance exam. And then write the exam, and if they pass, enter the law school. That's why we are starting orientation in December, and we start classes on 4th January. The rest of the university will start classes, I believe, 14th January or so. But we have to start earlier so that we can meet these deadlines and to have you in one cohort. The next thing I want to talk about is the 2 streams of LLBs. Previously, we had your class sitting with the SSS students as one cohort. From this year, we are separating the 2. So we have 2 streams. The WACC A-level baccalaureate stream come in the morning, and they are separated from your team, your stream, which is the post-first degree LLB. We believe that we should use different teaching methodologies for the SS students from the PFD students because you are generally older, you have a degree already, you have some work experience, and so separating you, we believe, would be more effective in terms of tuition. Again, although it's supposed to be a full-time course, a lot of you work, and we believe that the evening sessions might be better for you. However, law is very taxing. It requires a lot of time. Lots and lots of time. If you don't dedicate the time to it, you won't be able to make it. And we just instituted a new policy where if your grade point falls below 1.5, we'd ask you to withdraw. So we didn't have this policy until now. I think the policy used to be 1.0 and everybody got 1.0. But we can't continue churning out low grade graduates. We are upping it to 1.5 If your grade point at any point falls below 1.5, you receive a letter saying, please drop out of the program. So please focus, make sure that you are able to manage your work life such that it doesn't disrupt your studies. Contrary to what many people think, it's possible to work and do law. When I was a student here, I was working. There were times I had 6 jobs, working for 6 different professors, and yet studying law. It's about time management. Of course, I was sleeping 4 hours a night, but it's possible, it can be done. So just make sure you create a schedule that allows you to both work and study, if those are your circumstances. And so don't come and join the classes in the morning. They are not yours. Your classes are in the evenings. I believe it's 5 to 8. COVID is still with us. We are starting most classes, not most classes, all classes in hybrid mode, which means that you can join online or in person for the first 2 weeks. And that should allow you to go and get your vaccinations and pose less of a danger to your classmates. We're encouraging in-person classes after the first 2 weeks so that you can have better interaction with your lecturers. Abide by the COVID protocols, national, university, faculty, and let's keep this place safe. Lastly, I want to introduce you to those who run the school. The school is part of a college. The University of Ghana is now broken down into 4 colleges, and we are in the College of Humanities. The boss of that college is Professor Daniel Frimpong Ofori. He's the provost, assisted by a chief administrator, the college secretary. The college secretary is like the registrar of the college, just like you have a registrar of the university. Then you have the dean, and below the dean is a group of administrators headed by the school administrator. The school administrator is the focal person for administration. And so if you don't know who to go to administratively, you go to a school administrator, and if she directs you to somebody else, you go there. The school administrator is here. Susie Lamte, can we see you? And so she's the one up there also on the screen. And she's assisted by the school accounts person who is directly below her, Mr. Ahin. Then Auntie Vero is my secretary, the dean's secretary. George is a senior administrative officer here. So also is Naomi. If you have issues with lectures, examinations, and so forth, you go to George. If you have issues with admissions and so forth, deferments and the rest, you go to Naomi. The strategic objectives that I spoke about, who remembers the strategic objectives? Who remembers any of the strategic objectives I spoke about? Hey, you were not listening. Yes? Student experience. And for each of the strategic objectives, we have a faculty technical working group that focuses on it. So the first technical working group is on the student experience and progression. And that technical working group is headed by Professor Dona Hammond, and the coordinator is Thomas Stevens. So if you have any issue on lectures, God forbid, a lecturer not showing up, a lecturer not teaching well, students messing up in class, all those things about academic quality and the teaching and learning environment, this is the technical working group that deals with it, examinations and all that. The second technical working group is on the second strategic objective, which is on research, headed by a former Attorney General who is now a lecturer here, Dr. Kumbo, and coordinated by Dr. Hammond. So if you have some $1 million you want to give us to organize a conference in 2 years' time, you talk to them. They do research, conferencing, publications, and outreach. The third working group is on fundraising. So if you have money for us, these are the people you talk to. It's chaired by Mr. Kwame Jan, senior lawyer whom you should know, and coordinated by Dr. Deitutu, a lecturer here. Then for governance, Professor Chia is the chair of that committee. And until recently, the special prosecutor was the coordinator, but he just left us. And the final working group is on the 5th strategic objective, which is welfare. It's headed by Dr. Manteya, who is also the faculty person for student affairs, and coordinated by Dr. Jokutu. Great. So there are some faculty here that I would like to introduce themselves once I'm done with this. Then we have a library. Is Mr. Anta here? He has a full session with you tomorrow, but the library is headed by Mr. Anta with some 10 staff who work with him. Located within the library also is an ICT center, and is currently headed by Irene. Irene has already joined your WhatsApp platforms and is providing you with support for all the ICT things you may need. So that's Irene there. There is a Law Students Union. They'll be coming up shortly, but I just wanted to put up their pictures here so that you can match the faces to the positions. So up there, Jojo, something is covering your face. I think it doesn't like you. So that's the president whose face is hidden. And then you have the vice president. Where's the, yeah, the vice president is directly below him, right? And then you have the secretary, treasurer, organizing secretary below. You would get to know them pretty soon. If you have any concerns, go on the website, email any lecturer or staff directly, or send it to the law school at UG email account, and it would be addressed. I'll now hand the mic over to the lecturers who are here to introduce themselves, just their name and what they do and what subjects they teach. Thank you.
Please, you can do it better for Honorable Dean. So we'll start with our very first.
So my name is Kwaku Boadu. My course is IT law. You are not likely to see me in your classroom because you won't show up until you're in the final year. However, you are likely to encounter me when we have to deal with technology issues. So I provide assistance to Irene.
Good evening. I am Kenneth Gatti. In your first year, I am on the Ghana Legal System and Legal Methods teaching team. Later, I'd be on your company law, environmental law, and natural resources law teaching cohorts.
Good evening. My name is Courage Asabagna. We are most likely to meet in environmental law, immovable property, and law of taxation.
Good evening. My name is Mame Amen Sabusu. I will be meeting you next week for criminal law.
You can do it once again for our lecturers. And one thing Honorable Dean said, which is still resounding in my ears, even from my very first year, he says, law requires focus. So as you're here, do well to focus, and trust me, everything will go well with you. At this very juncture, We'd like to invite one of our lecturers. He's already introduced himself, and he's here to talk to us about a general introduction to the Ghana legal system and the legal profession. With a round of applause, let's welcome Mr. Kenneth Gate.
Good evening once again. My objective here is to give an introduction to the Ghana legal system and the legal profession. But since we will be looking at the greater details of that in our legal system lectures, I'd limit it to what you can expect to experience. Unlike Mamea, you are not meeting me next week. Our first meeting has been truncated by Constitution Day, 7th January. So we would meet on 14th January. With PFDs, you are already very clear in your minds, I would hope, the reason for undertaking this course. For some of you, or for the majority of you, it is to eventually become lawyers. For others, it's to gain the legal knowledge to facilitate some other endeavors that you are currently involved in or interested in. So whether you are aiming to go to the very end to become a qualified legal practitioner, or you just wish to get a degree in law in order to facilitate some other objective, we are all, as a school, we are more than happy to help you live up to those dreams. Like the Dean explained, for the first time, your cohort is being run as a special program in the evening. So you would be joining us for the same 3 years, but we would have you up to 3 hours on the weekdays. I'm sure the weekends you would spend here as well, but in your own private time. Just a short overview of what you can expect on this journey. So after you qualify with your Bachelor of Laws degree, like most of you would know, you will then go to take on the entrance exam into the Ghana School of Law. As things currently still stand, there's a requirement of an entrance examination, which you have to pass. It is, of course, our hope that the great majority of our students will get into the Ghana School of Law if they so wish to go further. But if you wish to become a lawyer and to go the long haul, after you get into the Ghana School of Law, so the two-stage training system is such that you do what is sometimes described as the substantive legal courses with us. And then you're supposed to do the procedural aspect in the Ghana School of Law. I think at this time, they still have 10 subjects, which you take over 2 years. So you first have to go past 1.5 and pass properly, and then get your degree. And that makes you eligible to take their exam. If you are successful in their exam, you need to go through the program for 2 years. And now the program involves some form of practical training. So you spend part of the first year in the classroom. You spend some of the students join judges or law firms and get practical training. And then you are called to the bar. Perhaps even before you become eligible to be called to the bar, the first step is to pass those 10 subjects. But passing the 10 subjects alone does not make you eligible to be called to the bar. There would be some audit of your conduct to see that you're an ethical person. So fraudsters and people who are engaged in habitual criminal conduct, even if you are the best and sharpest students, you may not make it to the bar, because sometimes there may be an inquiry about your character, and it might come anonymously to Mr. Boedu to evaluate your suitability to become a lawyer. So in the next 5 odd years, whilst you spend time and money investing in the legal journey, you should realize that the character element is as important as your legal brilliance on the journey. In Ghana, strictly, we don't differentiate. The legal profession does not differentiate between barristers and solicitors. So once you qualify, you have the right to be heard before the court, and you can do what say lawyers in England who are solicitors would normally do. When you're called to the bar as well, that does not give you the right to practice law in I wouldn't say in your own right, but the right to practice law in your own name immediately. So you undergo what is known as a mandatory pupillage, in which you understudy someone who is more than 7 years at the bar. And when they take the view that you have satisfied the requirements, they put out, they fill a form guaranteeing that you've undergone the minimum period of training, and then the General Legal Counsel, which is the statutory body with responsibility for regulating legal education in the legal profession, and then you get your own solicitor's license. For those who would be quick to file cases in court, it is only after you become eligible for a solicitor's license and you have applied and you have been issued one, that's a solicitor's number, that you can bring a case in your own name before any of the courts. So this essentially represents the journey that you can expect. I'm sure that as PFD students, you're already more than aware of the issues surrounding the General Legal Counsel and its requirements for law schools, etc. So you're welcome. We know that you are clear in your mind what you want to do. As a school, I'm sure that everybody is enthusiastic to assist you on the journey. Personally, I'm curious how it will play out, but I'm confident that everything will go on just fine. But Mr. Dean, I think this 1.5 is too low. I just had to add that. I didn't even know it was 1.0. It should be 2.0. Because if it's 4, if you get less than 2.0, you should withdraw yourself. You know, even if we are not asking you to withdraw, if you get 2.0, just withdraw yourself. Perhaps you can become a billionaire through other means. Thank you.
Next on our list, I humbly invite the school administrator, Ms. Susie, to tell us about our first semester courses. You can do it better for her with a round of applause as she comes.
Very brief. So like I told the other group, after orientation comes registration. We hope that you pay your school fees and then you register as a student, after which you register the first semester courses. Some of you are veterans, so I don't need to go into this. But those of you who are not from University of Ghana, after registering as a student, you also have to register the first semester courses. And please note, yours is different from the WASSCE intake. They have the same name, titles, but the course codes are different. Yours are Ghana Legal System, and it is floor 261. Then you have Criminal Law 1, floor 271. Then you have Immovable Property Law 1, floor 273. When you have Law of Contracts 1, floor 283. And then Constitutional Law, floor 291. The difference is that the WASSCE people, they have one year starts with 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. But yours starts with 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So please, it may confuse you when you are registering. Take note of that, and then you register accordingly. Now, when you do the registration please print proof of your registration. You may need it as we go along. You are supposed to register every semester, not only this semester. When we come for the second semester too, you have to register. Online registration is the order of the day now, so please take note. Tomorrow we'll talk much about other things. So I'll see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Susie. And I am humbly honored to invite one of my favorite lecturers so far. She is a delight anytime she is taking us for criminal law. And with a round of applause, let's welcome Mrs. Mamia. You will love her so much when you start with criminal. Please do it better for her.
For the record, I miss Mamia Mensabus. Good evening again. If you have told me about some guys, if you don't like me, it will be a problem. I'm to talk to you about surviving school of law and then the tips. It may sound like some concentration camp, which it is actually. Concentration on your fine skills and your quick brain. But the first point that I wanted to share with you is for the PFD, sometimes the struggle is that you've come from a system and you assume that for those of us who went to Legon, you assume it's the same Legon. We've all been to Legon before. No, so we've all done it 4 years, 5, whatever. This is not the same Legon. Those of you could fold your, what's that? They have some move. They fold the handouts under the armpit or the back pocket. That's the whole year's studies. And then you pass. It won't happen here. It will not happen here. The chew, poor, pass, forget. You will regret. I'm a poet. It won't happen here. This is a whole new place. And when I know that I'm sure you've seen lots of this in the past, you thought, oh, they are so too new. What are they? You will learn what they are learning. You will understand why they are too new. It is not the easiest place to be in, even when you are at your youngest, freshest, straight from Wesley Girls Change Night. How much more when you have already been poisoned by life? So, yes, you've been poisoned by life already, and you've already acquired some bad habits in your. You will need to reorient your thinking about learning. You will need to reassess yourself, to do some introspection. Who am I as a learner? Because if you don't do that here, and you don't do it now, there'll be no time for this in the course of it. It won't happen. Because once we start, we move. Me, I'll meet you next week. If you like, don't come for the class. If you like, come for the class, I will be there. And I will be there on time. And I will teach the full time, because we aren't going time to waste. So understand this, we hit the ground and we hit the ground running, and we're running fast. So you need to do all the prep work now, because we only have 3 hours a day, and that's it. For those who are doing it as WASI Fresh, they are going to have 2 different days for criminal law plus tutorial days. You won't get that. So when we start, we are moving. And that is why you need to understand that this place is a different system. You cannot wait to the end of the semester. It will be too late. Because I tell you, some of your courses, one topic has about 200 cases. If we're doing torts, negligence alone, when I was here, I counted about 198 or something cases for just negligence. And you will ask yourself, how are you going to read all of this in this short? You won't have the time. So please, don't wait till the end. It will be too late. And that's 1.5 will bab you. It will catch you. In my year, the one who topped philosophy, the other we all respect that philosophy is a difficult course, he was taken out. He didn't make it with us. Many people who made first classes, it doesn't matter. We all made first classes. Believe me, we all struggled when we got here. So your first class is great. It's wonderful. Please, did you get more than 3.91? Did you? Anybody more than 3.91? No, then you can't impress me. So it makes no difference to me what your grade point is. Throw it away. It's of no relevance to us here. Here, you have to prove yourself all over again. So your intelligence, as I told your younger colleagues, your intelligence is baseline. Everybody here is intelligent, otherwise you wouldn't be here. And we interviewed you, so I know what I heard. So we selected you, we handpicked you. So we think you can do it. That's why you are here. But that's just the baseline. The rest of it is discipline and diligence. You must do your work consistently. And I do not care. I want you to go on record before my boss that I don't care where you work. I don't care that you have another job. I don't. I only care that you came to study under me and I have a job to do and I will do it. So you must do yours. There should be no excuses like, oh, you know, I was working, but you knew you were working. That's the answer I'll give you. You knew you were working before you came here. So why should I know more than you? Why should I be concerned more about it than you are? You knew you were working and you chose to come here. So yes, we are human beings and we will make some adjustments as appropriate, but it should not be your go-to excuse. You know, I have a family and I also have a family. In fact, when I came to study law, I had just been married 4 months. By the time I finished, I was 7 months pregnant. I wrote my final 7 months pregnant. I couldn't even fit behind the desk. We've all been through it, so we can understand. We can appreciate the challenges. I worked through law school, so we can understand the challenges. And yes, we will make adjustments as and when we, in our discretion, think it appropriate to do so. But if you came thinking that you will sling that excuse every time we ask for an assignment or I ask for a case and you tell me, oh, you know that we are older people and assimilating can be harder. You too, you knew you were old when you were coming, not me. I didn't know this. But you assessed yourself and you found yourself capable and you paid your fees and you came. So why is it not my burden? Please don't burden me. I have enough to carry on my own. I won't carry yours. The second thing that I want to say is about respect. Some of you may be older than some of us. Some of you may be more senior in other disciplines. All that is great. All that it tells me is that you have more experience and you have breathed more of this oxygen than I have. But there must be respect. We've had incidences in the past, particularly with PFDs. Some of our colleagues are much younger even than myself. It doesn't matter. They are still your lecturers. And that respect has got to be there. Personally, most people don't tend to fight with me because I'll give it back. But some of my colleagues will do me, I'll fight for them as well because it will taint all of us. So we will respect you and you also have to give respect. It doesn't matter if your lecturer is 24 years old, he's your lecturer. So please, let's keep that in mind because it tends to create some friction sometimes and it's unnecessary and it creates limits and barriers because if you fight my colleague, you've taken me on as well. Understand that. You're not taking just one person on that. We've had problems in the past and I said, oh, it's a shame I didn't hear about this. It's so boring these days, no excitement. I would have, enjoyed a bit of a spiff with a colleague here. So please understand that. Now, even for this small talk, I came prepared. So if you come to my lecture and you don't come prepared, wahala for you. Time management, prioritization. Many of us here are married or in committed relationships, or you are working, or you have kids, and all that must still survive. I used to say, I didn't come here for a law degree to come and exchange it for a divorce certificate. So you have to balance. There is no other way around it. You have to manage, you have to prioritize. So for those who are married with or without children, what worked for me, it may not work for you. What worked for me, I used to declare Saturday, 3 p.m., I'm no longer your wife. I'm a student. I belong to Professor Kwashiga and his colleagues here. 3 p.m., you can ask me for anything before 3 p.m. And that's when I'm mommy, I'm your wife. 3 p.m., I'm a student. I'm a law student. And I even leave the house so that there's no mommy, No, what my daughter thinks, she thinks I'm the only person who's ever had a child before. So she must call me every minute to remind me. So I'm out of the house. The library is often open. Make use of those facilities, because if you have children at home, it won't work. I'll lock my door, and unless your children are not like mine, but if they are like my daughter, you can't do any work in that place. So you need to prioritize, and the people who are around you must understand. So if you haven't had that conversation with your significant other, you must do so now, because they have been, and particularly the women, I am talking to women. It's unfortunate that we still have this gender problem, but we do. So you have to, I have taught students whose husbands paid their fees, not that they paid it themselves. Their husbands paid their fees, and their husbands were the same ones who frustrated them every time. One of my students was walking out of a class test, and I said, "Where are you going?" She burst into tears. So I took her outside. Said her husband is tormenting her, harassing her. She should come home. What kind of mother is she? Blah, 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 blah. And I said, "You will not leave this class. You will take this paper. You will graduate. You will finish. Because if he finishes with you, you will have nothing left." So this is the point. Every minute you will make some tough decisions. Women, it's unfortunate that that's how, and I'm hoping that the more enlightened we get, the lesser of these battles we'll have to fight. But you will, because you won't have the time that you used to have. So prioritize, so that when you have family time, you are there. You are present, you are with them, you are mommy, you are wifey, you are girlfriend, you are fiancé, whatever it is, you are there. So when you are not there, you can remind them that, please, when it's mommy time, you understand that I'm here. I don't even touch my watch, let alone my computer. So when I am not doing mommy things, when I'm not doing wife things, we have to understand. And you must constantly engage and communicate, or else you will break down one way or the other, the marriage or the school. One of them will suffer. So both of them are suffer small. Balance. You have to manage your time effectively, because I tell you, if you come to my class with an excuse, I will not take it. And it's not because women are more difficult or women are wicked. I know you are thinking it's already in your head, and women are not their own enemies. No, we are not. Because we understand that the system does not understand that you're a married woman. The system understands law, procedure. You cannot go to court and tell that, my lord, my daughter poured oil on my file, so I couldn't file it in. Nobody will listen to you. Nobody. If you file out of time, it's out of time. If you are lucky and there's opportunity to file for leave to enter the, but all those things are procedural. It doesn't care what you come. So we have to teach you for you to survive in the system you are preparing for. Whether or not you go to become a lawyer is your problem. But when I am teaching, I teach as if these people are going into a profession that does not understand these things. So you have to do what you have to do. Lectures, tutorials, they are compulsory. I repeat, they are compulsory. They are not as and when you can make it. They are not if you can fit it into your schedule. This is your schedule. The others must fit around it. It is because of you we have created this evening. So if I come there and not there in the evening, I won't understand. I will leave my 4-year-old and my 8-year-old to come to class. You better be there. Otherwise, it will be a personal matter, me or you. We won't understand this thing. Please show up, because the thing is, lectures give you the signposts. They guide you. Tutorials, you can go a little deeper. We have questions, we can engage. So if you miss the tutorial thinking that you have lectures, so you will miss out on important things. And last year, we had a student who didn't show up for even one tutorial, even one, the whole term. She was making 0/25 in the essays, and she didn't understand. I said, you don't understand, I can explain it to you. Absence equals 0. Because you won't understand enough in lectures. So you go for the lecture, you get the readings, the signposts, the little tips for how to understand the case. You go and read the case. We give you questions, you work on them, we discuss them in tutorials. It is tutorials that will teach you how to answer questions like a law student. So if you are planning on skipping tutorials, let me assure you that you will not do well. And for the money you are paying, you may as well put some effort into this. So tutorials are they are crucial. That's the point where you get to engage the lecturer more on the thorny issues, which we won't get time for in lectures. So if you hear the tutorial, please show up for the tutorial, whether you're going online or in person, show up, have your questions ready, because if you come tabula rasa, I can't help you. I can't do magic. Nemo that code non-habit. You will learn what it means when you come here. You cannot put something on nothing. You can't give that which you don't have. So if you come and you have read nothing, and you cannot tell me the whole show say, when I was teaching, where were you? So you need to do your own reading. Higher education, particularly in the law school, we don't have spoon feeding here. We don't do handouts. Many of us will not even give PowerPoint presentations. We will come and stand before you and engage you in the conversation. There will be no handouts. So for those of you who did the 3 Ps, P Science, Psycho, Poly, the three Ps plus sociology. If you did any of those, you are in trouble here. You won't get the handouts. You may find a few old notes circulating in the system, popularly known as the Thomas Stevens. Thanks to our colleague, Dr. Stevens. You will find some, but they were written by students who were struggling when they were also writing it. So you should be careful how you depend on the notes of the past. Then group study. You can't do it alone. As I've told you, some of the cases, you may have 50 cases for just one topic, 100 cases, you may have as many as 50. It's an incredible workload. The concepts themselves are not so difficult. My mother always says, law is organized common sense. So the concepts themselves are not so complicated. It is the volume. So you will need to, if you were a lone ranger study person, you will have to readjust, reorient. You need some amount of group engagement. But even the group study, you have to, you have to be a little smart about how you do it. Not all friendships will survive your 3 years. And as I told the earlier group, it's okay, let it go. Release yourself of the guilt. Some things must be sacrificed at the altar of the law. Just understand it that way. But your group work, if your group study is effective, it will fill in the gaps, because sometimes you can be reading amiss. You can read a lot and discover that you didn't read anything that was useful. So it is these things that help to fill in the gaps for you. So if you are a lone ranger, it's good to do your own reading, because as I tell my students, iron sharpeneth iron, iron don't sharpeneth glass or metal or any of those. Iron sharpeneth iron. So if you're not iron for somebody, if they're not iron, please cut them. Don't be shy. As I treat them freely. So finally, the last thing I want to say is that all the knowledge, all the skills, everything that you have, it's from here. There will be no other time for you to improve or to pick up the knowledge. Everything is here. Whatever else you get after here is building up, and they are going to teach you with the assumption that you know the law already, the basics. So there will be no chance to go over it again. So don't think that if you do things fast here, or later on, you won't get the time. It won't come. And I myself, every time I gave this advice, and then I discovered to my shock that I myself had gaps in my own knowledge. So I went to work corporate law and discovered my company law that I had done true and poor. I can confess it here. Company law, I was a struggling student in company law. I just could not understand it. And so I said that I had a fear of resitting. So I will pass every paper because I don't want to have to do it again. But I did not understand the concepts. And then I was faced with a share transaction. And my senior at the law firm decided that I know what shares are, I know what the benches are, I know the law, and we had no chance to go over. And here they were firing questions at me, because you can, and they've seen my CV. It looks very nice. Now prove it with the benches and shares. And there I was, for 3 nights, I didn't sleep, rereading company law notes of the past. And the law has been changed too. So now I have to compare to see whether it makes sense. It was a struggle. And then I understood my own advice. And that's the truth, is that nobody will teach you these things again. So these basic concepts, grasp them and grasp them now. Invest in yourself beyond just paying the school fees, because there will be no other chance for you to pick up these things. I warmly welcome you again, and I will see you next Wednesday, 5 o'clock, I believe.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mensah Bonsu. Please, a round of applause for her. Before I introduce my next speaker for the night, we have another lecturer in our midst. He just joined us, and humbly would like him to introduce himself and tell us the course he will be taking us for the year.
My name is Kwame Jan. Which camera? Is there a camera? Dean, my name is Kwame Jan. I am in the teams for immovable property, torts, and environmental law. You are welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kwame Jan. Next on our list, we have Miss Irene Kumaku. She's here to talk to us about the Sakai online platform for teaching and learning. Please, if she's in attendance. Okay, so moving on, we now have the very last item on our list, and we'll be introducing the panel members for the discussion. And we have, and I call the name, you can just give them a round of applause. They will join us here. Firstly, we have a member of the Law Students Union. We have Idris Hudu Yahaya, if he's here, please. Okay. And we have Miss Charlotte Owusu, the organizing secretary. Is she here, please? Please, a round of applause for her as she comes. Miss Charlotte Owusu, our organizing secretary. We have our vice president for the LSU, Mr. Ransford Baini. Do it better for him with a round of applause. And then we have the president of the Law Students Union, Mr. Jojo Afun. Please, a round of applause as they come.
Good evening to everyone once again, and on behalf of the Law Student Union, I would like to welcome us. So very quick or fast forward. My name is Ransford Baini, Vice President of the Law Student Union, and we're here to mention or discuss certain salient points that we know you need in this journey. We believe and we know that most of us, or even all of us here, have been through a university system before, and we are so much obsessed with how university or tertiary education is run. But I would like to emphatically mention that the law is a different ball game. And so with respect, any issues or any comments that we would be making, let's just try our best to heed to them. So we'd like to begin with our president. He is going to give us a very short submission, and then I'll come in, and Charlotte will also come in. I think the fourth member of the panel is here now. Idris, please can you join us on stage? He's here now. Please, let's clap for him. So we'll be having the discussion, and after that, we'll open for questions. So please, let's welcome our president, Jojo.
Good evening to you all, and welcome. I'll just be sharing a few things on the union because Ms. Mensah Bonsu has spoken at length as pertains to a lot of things regarding adjusting to the transition from your various courses of study at the undergraduate and all other levels prior to coming here, and also the work and school balance. So I would simply be addressing you on the union, its activities, and then just give a few pointers as a post-first degree student myself as to how you can be able to adjust in this new system. So as a union, we are governed by the Law Students Union Constitution. As members of the Junior Common Room, we are subject to the leadership of the management of the University of Ghana School of Law. So we'll be sharing with you the constitution of the Law Students Union, which governs our activities. And as you know, the constitution being a document that creates, is also one that gives us our membership status. So the body that is the Law Students Union is made up of the Executive Council. The Executive Council comprises myself, President, the Vice President, the Treasurer, the Organizing Secretary. I'm sure most of you met the Treasurer when you were signing in and logging in this evening. So aside the Executive Council, we have the Judicial Board, which is made up of the Chief Justice and the other Judicial Board members. And of course, by mention of the name Judicial Board, we know what their key roles include, which is adjudicating on matters. We also have the Senate, which is a direct representation of the various classes. So we have the speakers of Senate, and we have the senators of the various classes. Hopefully, when lectures commence, the EC would come around to assist all of us with the election of our Senate representatives who will represent the various classes at Senate. And what Senate does primarily is to scrutinize the affairs of the union, to make sure that we are in strict adherence to the dictates of the Constitution, that there's probity, there's accountability to the members of the union. We also have, by virtue of membership according to Article 5 of our Constitution, the General Student Body. And if not for my position as president, we all form part of the General Student Body. And all our actions, all our activities are geared towards the aims set out in our Constitution. So this is a general overview of the union, and membership, strictly speaking, according to our Constitution, is simply signing in or logging in your details to any of the executive members. That is why we requested that you give us your details before entering here, and we'll be doing the same for those who joined us online. That is pretty much the composition of the Law Students Union. And our aims include, that is, contributing to the general views and objectives of the University of Ghana Students School of Law, I beg your pardon. It is to encourage students' adherence to the democratic principles of the rule of law, both in student governance and in general, to influence policy formation and decision-making at the University of Ghana School of Law level. And we are grateful that that has been positive and forthcoming, even in my nascent administration, with the Dean and Ms. Lamte signing off on the establishment of an eatery for law students, which is right behind or next to our examination hall. So we are hoping that effective January 2022, we will not have to journey all the way to Bush Canteen and Night Market to have meals. We can have them right behind or next to the examination hall. So we also look to promote and advance the academic and career interest of the general student body. And we do so by the various plans and projects that we implement. And many of you who are on the WhatsApp page have been privy to the online legal resources bank that we'll be providing to you. So this is a Google Drive that contains soft copy of course outlines that have been used over the years. And admittedly, these course outlines are tailor-made for the various years. But we have noticed that there isn't much change in them as time goes on, unless there's really a substantive change in the position of the law on certain matters. The course outlines are relevant to you as study guides to be able to gauge your study, to be able to, time yourself, know how quickly and how accurately you are studying, so that you don't go and study things that are quote unquote non-fa. Yes. So aside the online legal resources bank, we would be implementing other projects all in the name of advancing the academic and career interest of students. So we have the Interfirm Moot competition. And as post-first degree students who are running this special program, I would crave your indulgence that you commit with all your resources, your presence, your time, your money, into making sure that the activities of the union are a success. So with the Interfirm Moot competition, what we do is to mimic what happens in trial at the various courts. So we have student firms. In my first year, I was part of PSA Legal Consult until I became legal advisor of my hall, and most recently represented the losing candidates in the election petition at the SRC Judicial Board level. So this gives us practical experience as to what we will be facing or what we will be doing as practitioners. That's for those who want to be barristers, as Mr. Gatti has earlier enlightened us on. So it gives you a hands-on approach. When through the process in my first year, we did our oral submissions, we did our memorials, we submitted them. It gives you, just a good insight into what procedure is all about, what advocacy is all about. And you learn to, that I put it to you that most people think goes on in the classrooms. You get the chance to do that as well. So aside the Interfirm Moot competition, we know that the Dean mentioned that raising funds to be able to position us properly with regards to resources is important for us. So under the auspices of the management of the School of Law, we'll be holding an annual dinner, which, unlike previous years, used to be a leavers dinner. This will be more focused on raising funds for ourselves. So we'll be having alumni here as invited guests to donate towards the realization of the goals that have been set in our development plan. There are other events and projects and programs that as time goes on, we will be notifying you of. But I believe all these events and programs I'm talking about are on the more serious side. But also to unwind and have a little bit of fun, we also try as much as possible to have social mixed events. And Mr. Kwame Jan, who introduced himself here, has been a very good patron who has been supporting us in the organization of these events. Can we please acknowledge him with another round of applause? Even as I have acknowledged him now, that means that we will still be looking forward to his benevolence, hopefully next year. So the social mix is basically a time for us to unwind. For those of you who take the drink of the gods, you have that there, just over some music and kebab to unwind, de-stress, and we'll be looking at having that as well. Also, on the balanced, fun, and educative side, we have an event called the Personality of the Month. And previously, it was limited to alumni of this great institution. However, we are looking to expand it to be able to invite notable legal personalities to share with us some of their life experiences. And we look forward to your patronage of some of these events. So basically, this is the aim, the objective, the plans and projects of the union. I would not like to encroach into the space of talking about what to expect, because Ms. Mensah-Bonsu has already told you that this program is very rigorous and you would have to sacrifice a lot. You'd have to sacrifice a lot. Already you have sacrificed financially by paying your fees and soon your accommodation fees as well. But you would have to sacrifice a lot. Your schedules, your timelines are going to have to be significantly altered to be able to realize this dream. And I say this for the post-first degree students because we have a clear-cut reason or foresight for which we came to pursue this course. Maybe for the undergrads, it's just simple. Oh, you had 8 A's. What is the next best course to do after school? Law, general arts, go and do it. But for some of us, we have had a taste of world. Some of you are coming from HR backgrounds, from IT backgrounds, and you see that this is a goal that you've had. This is a dream that you've had. You want to pursue this. And so you have to gear all your resources, all your energy, all your creative juices, everything in you towards the realization of this dream. Please do not miss lectures and tutorials. Do not miss lectures and tutorials. As for the readings, as for the cases, there are some that you may not be able to finish reading. And that's, or even our lectures have gone through it. But as for the classes and the tutorials, because they gear your mind towards what your lecturers expect from you, especially tutorials. And I'll be asking for more clarification as to how the tutorials will go for the students running this special program. But please, do not miss your tutorials. Do not miss your lectures, because there are certain exams that I have written that I was simply reminded of a particular article in the Constitution because of Dr. Innocent's mention of Article 2576. Even if you wake me up from sleep, I can quote it verbatim because of Professor Tuguba's mention of the Auditor General's rules. Even if you wake me up from sleep, I can recite them verbatim. Do not miss lectures, especially if you are an audiovisual learner. It will help you so much, because some of the things that you hear, some of the things that you see your lecturer saying, some of the emphasis that is placed on certain portions. And I hope that you would have the privilege of learning under the tutelage of Mr. Jan, because you notice that some of the things that he emphasizes on are most often some of the things that come in exam. And because of the way he has said them, you will never forget those. So please, I know that your schedules may be tight and difficult, but please do not miss your lectures and tutorials. Please also partake in LSU activities and have a consistent study guide. There are most students that I came to meet as my mentors here, Prosper Batarewa, Frederick Agaya. And I came to find out that what I thought was a skill that came naturally to them was actually consistent discipline. So what you might see that, oh, this person is a very good lawyer. Yes, because trust me, nobody here is, excuse me to say, unwise or unintelligent or that. Everybody has an appreciable amount of intelligence there. But the rest of it all is your discipline and your consistency. So please be consistent, because there are days that you will not even feel like learning. But please be consistent. Set targets. If it is 20 pages you need to read a day, 30 pages, 60 pages, set those targets and meet them. I beg you. And please be genuinely interested in the law. That is the only hack. If you are not genuinely interested, you will come for the lectures, you will come for the tutorials, you do the readings, but there isn't any physical impact that you see in your learning of the law towards being a lawyer, a practitioner, or just an LLB degree holder. So please also give attention to your social life as well. Have a consistent balance. I know it's tough, especially if you are running an evening program, but it's not something that is not surmountable. It's not something that you cannot do. People have done it and you do it. So I wish you all the best. Please feel free to reach out. As the Dean earlier shared with us, if the challenges border on admissions, on deferment, if they border on general student welfare, Ms. Naomi is there for the former, Mr. George Jemfi is also there for the latter. If there are anything that borders on student welfare as well, you can reach out to me, the Vice President, the Secretary, or the Organizing Secretary. I would not like to bore you any longer. Thank you, and you see more of me as the semester goes on.
Thank you to our president. He's basically said everything that most of the panel members would want to say. So, and looking at our time, we want to take questions. If there are any questions for the students. General questions, questions related to academics, questions related to student welfare, and Okay, so the president is asking a question on behalf of the students. So he's asking when tutorials will be held for first degree students who are running this special course. I think the time is from 5. So we want to know when tutorials are going to be held for.
Okay, the question, like you rightly asked, when tutorials will be done for the post-first degrees, the dean stated that we'll be having a 2-hour lecture and a 1-hour tutorial session. So please do well to take note. Thank you.
Okay, please, any other question? Okay.
Please, may I see?
Thank you very much. I think it's been a very productive session. The comments that we've had are very instructive. The admonitions are also very instructive and helpful. And we'd like to thank the leadership of the School of Law and also the student leadership, if you like, the Law Students Union. We created a page which was very helpful with dissemination of information, and also what they have also presented here are very helpful. We want to say a big thank you. I want to find out concerning the modalities for the lectures. We still are in a COVID era, and I want to know whether we would all be required to come in person for the lectures, or there is an option for others to join by the virtual platforms. Thank you.
Is there any other question? 2 more.
Okay. Thank you. My question relates to the ratio for assessment. What percentage goes to the interim assessment, and what goes to the final exam? Thank you.
Last one. Please pass on the microphone.
I think looking at the way our lectures are scheduled, I don't think you will be enjoying holidays which falls within weekdays. Or we will enjoy them.
Please, any other question that we can? Okay, our last question.
Thank you very much. Mine had to do with our registration. On the admission letter that was given out, it was stated that by 20th of this month, the portal will be open for us to be able to register. But I don't know for my colleagues. I've tried severally, but it wasn't user-friendly to me. And also with the models or courses that has been said here that will be undertaken, are all of them core models, or we have some electives that we'll have to choose from? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wow. Please, any more? Because this is our very last one. Last question. Sure. But for the sake of our online watch.
Thank you. Please, the first gentleman spoke about a WhatsApp platform. I'm not on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So our questions, one on how the classes or the lectures will be held, another on the ratio. There's also one, I think the third one was on holidays, and then the last one about the WhatsApp platform. Yes, please. And then the registration as well.
Okay, so Mr. Gatti is going to answer the question relating to the assessment, the balance of assessment.
Okay. Let me try and answer the questions together. I recall the one on the balance. Post-COVID, the university changed the ratio of assessments. So teaching teams have the flexibility to decide between 50% and 70% of the weighting for continuous assessment, and then not less than 30% for exam. I think the experience in the last academic year was that teaching teams balance it either way. So some did 60 for continuous assessment, 40 for final exam. We did on one of our courses 50-50. Some others went all the way up to 70. So you would have assessment elements going along. And actually, it requires more diligence because now you have 3 assessments in the course of the 10 weeks, 20 marks, 20 marks, 20 marks, 20%. Once you miss one with an excuse for, I am a minister's PA, nobody cares. To be honest, nobody cares. And we don't care because the ministers were our classmates or our students. And about the holiday, I know that for Ghana legal system, because of a coming holiday, Constitution Day, the coordinator, Dr. Hammond, shifted one of the sessions and we have tried to accommodate it in another session. But you do know that to give you the evening experience, we really sometimes have to stick to. But if, let's even just take it that 7th January, you are required to attend constitutional law. What better day than Constitution Day to study constitutional law? So I beg you, if Republic Day, it's no longer commemorated as a holiday, but if it were still commemorated as a holiday and you were required to attend constitutional law, oh, my friend, you are doing it. I think we were required to attend constitutional law every 6th March, whether or not the class fell on 6th March. So every 6th March, we have a constitutional law lecture so that you understand the working of the Constitution. Mr. WhatsApp, you can, your not being on the WhatsApp can be addressed by, I think I've missed one last question. Online registration, I would hand that over to school administrator.
Okay, so the courses will be uploaded. UGC, we are working with UGCS to upload the courses for us. Thank you. Karen. Timelines. We'll communicate that tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Garcia and Ms. Susie. So,
Online, okay. Yeah, and then there was a question on whether we are doing online or in person. Dean explained that for the first 2 weeks, the idea is to try and see if we can do in person. By the first 2 weeks, Dean explained that we are going to be mixing the online and in person. And within this period, you are expected to get your vaccination so that as much as possible, if we can do in person, we will do it. Nevertheless, COVID is still here. So the university will allow us to do the hybrid online and in person. But please take note, we were using Zoom for our online classes. The university has decided that starting 1st January, it's no more Zoom. We are moving to Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is a little bit more strict than Zoom. So you are going to be forced to use your university email address for your communication. And it's important that you also use your university email address to communicate to your lecturers. We have a little challenge. Your email addresses are not ready. They are not active yet, which means 1st January, they may not be active. So within probably the first week, we may resort to maybe Google Meet, but whatever it is, you will receive a link, you click on it, and you join the class. But when when we switch to Teams, we will not notify you we are switching to Teams because all we are doing, we are sending you a link. But if it is Teams, then we are going to assume that you've activated your university email. So please, as soon as it's possible to activate your university email, please do that. We are also going to assume that you are prepared for Teams. So beginning today, go and download Teams because Teams is not like Zoom. It requires you to download onto your device. So please start doing that. It's not likely we are switching to Teams on 1st January, as I said, but please prepare. So take note, you're going to be using your UG email address and then download Teams onto your devices. And then also, this is the end of anonymous and funny name users. Please, you cannot do that. I was telling the previous, during the orientation that one of our professors here, when he's teaching, he has a teaching assistant sitting by him. And when you log on, they check your login name, check the list that the administration has given him. And if your login name is Love You and there's no Love You on the list, you are not admitted in the class. Okay. Okay. You just heard it. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. So about the question relating to WhatsApp. So the WhatsApp pages that were created were to inform the students about certain informations that they would need. But we created a stand outside to take your contacts, which we'll be using to create an official WhatsApp platform. So what the gentleman here was talking about was ones that were created before the admission. So it means that some people on that particular WhatsApp page would not even continue. So they were just WhatsApp pages created by, let me say, certain agenda people. I mean, those who are pushing certain SRC or whatever agendas to just announce their presence. So an official WhatsApp page is going to be created where every or all relevant information will be shared, which is why we took your details. So please, if you did not register at the desk, when you're going back, please do well to register and indicate your WhatsApp number so that the page is created, the official WhatsApp page is created as soon as possible, and then the information is shared with you. I'd like to talk also about the LSU dues that were being taken at the stands. When you get to the stands, you realize that the gentleman there asked you about Law Student Union dues. They are for souvenirs and they are for certain subscriptions. So the souvenirs include t-shirts, lapel pins, exercise books, and I think some other things, which we would be using in the course of the program. So please, let's do all to pay the dues, and it's stated for 100 cedis. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vice President Ransford Twiney. We can also do better for our organizing secretary, Ms. Charlotte Owusu. LSU President, Mr. Jojo Afon, please, a round of applause for him. And then also our LSU member, Mr. Idris Yahaya. Thank you very much for coming. Please, before we close, we have this very last question from our online student. She wants to know, please, my university email turned out to be the same as the one I used for my undergrad. So she wants to know how it will work. Does she need to activate it again? Mr. Wunsu, briefly.
You'll be notified by the university. I don't know what it is, but it will be in the admission letter. Your email address will be in your admission letter.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Bonsu. So your email address will be in the admission letter. do well to be mindful of all the information you are given as a law student. I remember my very first orientation, the Honorable Justice of the Supreme Court now, she said that you cannot do law by rumor. So you have to be present, you have to be very attentive, and you have to focus. At this very moment, we'd like to call on Ms. Charlotte Owusu to give us the vote of thanks.
Good evening. So first of all, I'd like to thank God for bringing us successfully to the end of our orientation. On behalf of the UG School of Law, I'd like to thank our Dean and his team for putting this orientation together seamlessly. Our heartfelt gratitude goes out to all our lecturers who took time off their schedules to grace this orientation with their presence and words of advice. We have been fortunate enough to be supported by a team of dedicated staff and student volunteers. We are appreciative of your efforts. Thank you very much to all our newly admitted students who are gathered here. We are glad to have you. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much. We'd like to follow with a closing prayer by Mr. Jude Doe.
Good evening. Shall we pray? Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for such a day as today. We thank you for bringing us from wherever we came from up to the University of Ghana School of Law. We thank you for all the activities and talks we had in this program. Pray that it will guide our journey throughout our stay in the University of Ghana School of Law. We also pray for traveling mercies. You guide us from where this auditorium is to our place of our vote. Pray that you bring us back safely next week for us to start classes. In Jesus' name, amen.
So we've come to the end of the first day session of our orientation. Do well to join us tomorrow at the same time, 5 p.m. Thank you very much for coming.